proceed with our last speaker for today, before we do the roundtable after coffee break. Wenche 𝐂𝐨𝐬𝐿 is from Norway, and she was formerly a member of the on the board of the Norwegian Kennel Club, now still serving as a member of the Health Committee of the Norwegian Kennel Club and the Norwegian Kennel Club Health Representative for the Brachycephalic Council. She's also a breeder and a Norwegian judge.
I don't think I need a long introduction because I've given one speech today. Now I'm going to give my speech that was originally the assignment given to me. Mixing breeds to preserve them. When and why it should be done, and who should be doing it, and who should be deciding it. I think that's an important topic. And we don't need to talk so much about who I am to talk about this topic, but first and foremost, I'm a dog lover. I love dogs, I love animals, I love horses. And I'm very happy, even if I'm not a veterinarian, I've been working my whole life with animals. I've been working with race horses. I was even licensed to drive races, actually. And I work with dogs, and I went to university, and now I work with addiction and drugs and troubled children. Dogs and horses are much easier. I love the dog world. I feel like I was born into it. My grandmother was a Norwegian 𝐒𝐲𝐞𝐿 breeder, so I think I was born into the Norwegian Kennel Club, I think. So I like to work with breed clubs and different topics there. Now the word mixed breeds, as we were hearing in 𝐂𝐨𝐧𝐼𝐞𝐫, president of the FCI's opening statements, please don't call them breeds, because they're not a breed. They're mixed dogs. So what does it mean? What does mixed breeds mean? It means mixing dogs. It's not a breed. So I think the terminology when we're talking about this topic is quite important, because a cross-breeding program is what I would call it, because if we're going to cross breeds, it should be done scientifically within the system and not just randomly like we see today. Like I see, since I worked with the Bulldog Club for 4 years, I often have sometimes on social media just to check it out, and it's a lot of crossing. It's a hot topic these days. It's cross this, cross that, cross, mix, and it's cockapoo, and it's bull here and bull there, and it's cavapoos, and it's everything, and people actually think that they're breeds, but they're not. What is a cross-breeding program? We have tried this on 2 native breeds in Norway, because one of the breeds were very popular before the war and was very big of numbers, but after the war they were quite small in numbers. So something needed to be done to preserve them, because it was a very beloved hunting dog. The other is the Norwegian Lundehund, or the puffing dog, that also was very small in numbers, and something needed to be done to preserve them, because we felt as our culture and heritage, they were worth preserving. They have some very special skills with their feet and their ears and collecting eggs from the puffing birds. What is the definition of a breed? I don't think we need to go into that, because we've talked about how breeds were made and what is a breed, and we have done that in several presentations by a lot of speakers, so I don't think we need to address that anymore. But in my belief, it's like, if it weren't for the organized dog world, the FCI, the breed clubs, and the organized breeders keeping records for hundreds of years, there would not be any breeds to cross. There would only be the species dog. If that is a good or bad thing is another wide discussion that I won't go into. I personally like that we have breeds made for specific tasks and that has different abilities for different work. This actually, I'm not a veterinarian, so this I have borrowed from a professor. I borrowed it from Professor Astrid Indrebø, who is former from the scientific committee in the FCI. And she's also been a veterinarian consultant for the Norwegian Kennel Club for, I think it's about 30 years or something. And I know that this is going a little against all that we've talked about for 3 days, but it's actually a topic because addressing the problem is good, but sometimes things get taken out of context and social media can easily turn it around and use it in a negative way. Statistics based on screening are often used by the media, and others determine if a breed is healthy or diseased. Sick I would use, but Astrid used diseased, so I've used diseased. This is a problem, and it can encourage the breeders and the owners not to register the results from dogs with diseases such as HD, elbow dysplasia, spondylosis, and boas, etc. Now, that's impossible with boas, because I can proudly say that we are a country that embraced the Cambridge model, and we implement this in Norway, and we trained our veterinarians with Jane Ladlow, and now it's actually mandatory to have a BOAS test before registration puppies after English Bulldog, French Bulldog, and Pugs. So those breeds cannot have puppies if they don't have a BOAS grading test. Because positive diagnosis may give a bad impression of the breed. It can be used wisely and good, and it can be used in a negative way. As breeders, we repeatedly hear that mixed breeds, and we heard it in a video here before as well, that mixed breeds live longer and are far healthier than pure breed dogs. And I wonder where the study of that is and how many mixed dogs there is and where the record of that is actually. This misconception may be due to the fact that there are no screening programs for mixed dogs, I would say. They are only examined if they have a clinical problem. Statistics are tools, not goals. That is important to keep in mind and must never be replaced with common sense and passion. Crossbreed to preserve. Can we crossbreed to preserve? Of course we can. Crossing breeds is nothing new to the dog world. I think it's a little misunderstanding because animal welfare organization and animal activist organization, and I will make this very clear because I have a personal, I think it's a difference between animal welfare organization and what I will call animal activist organization. I'm very proud to work with the animal welfare organization like the Four Paws. I've learned so much from Julie to work with her. And there are animal welfare organizations that I think actually acts like activists and bullying. Can we crossbreed to preserve? Of course. This is how all breeds became breeds, by crossing different dogs because we wanted a certain skill. So it's nothing new to the FCI. We do have crossbreeding programs if it's necessary and if it's needed. It's not a new invention. To succeed in a crossbreed project, you need a plan. You cannot go on social media and say, look at this bulldog, it's crossed, it's beautiful. How do you know the second generation will be that? How do you know how it will develop at all? What was the mother, what was the father? You know nothing. You need a very structured plan to succeed if you're going to cross breeds. Is it a quick fix? Absolutely not. Many people refer to the puffing dog project as a success. Well, it has taken 20 years. When and why should it be done? The threat of extinction, of course, is a cultural inheritance. Do we want to preserve the breed? Has something happened to the breed, like the Norwegian Sandhound that suffered major losses through the war? Did we want to preserve it? Yes, we wanted. It was important to Norway to preserve it. Breed-related illnesses? Of course, we aren't against crossing breeds if it's necessary. But if there is another way, if it's a way out of it by selectively breed towards healthier dog, we will do that. But if there is no other way, of course we can cross. Lack of genetic variation, yes. Who should be doing it? That is a very important question for me. Who should be deciding it when to crossbreed? Country of origin, the FCI, the kennel clubs, breeders, society, courtrooms, activist groups. We have a court case now in Norway, as been mentioned here earlier, where activists want to ban the breed or alternatively force the Norwegian Kennel Club and the Bulldog Club and the Cavalier Club to crossbreed. That's the only alternative they will accept. The non-registered Bulldogs and Cavaliers will not be affected by this, but the registered dogs will be. Should they decide it? For me, the answer is very easy. They should absolutely not be deciding this because they have very little knowledge about it. The organized dog world that has over 100 years of records and knowledge should really be deciding this. The FCI has people that has been working with this for over hundreds of years. It's very easy. Who should be doing it? Should everyone be doing it? Should everyone that has a dog be doing this? Should everyone just, if I have a spaniel and you have a dachshund, should we just, yeah, that would be really nice. We could get a lot of money. No, actually, that was a joke, but no. The breeders with knowledge, under the careful guidance of the breed club, the KC, the scientists, and the FCI should be doing this. This should be a very joint cooperation because it can't be done alone. We have two different projects done in two different ways. One of them is considered a success. The other one, we actually really don't know if it's a success because it's done in a different way. Yeah, I've actually said all that. So how is it done? This is a beautiful Norwegian hound, by the way. The Norwegian sent out Dunker. I've also said this, so we can fast forward here. The important thing when we wanted to cross this breed was that we wanted to preserve the breed type and characteristics because it's a hunting dog. So we needed to find something to preserve the hunting skills within the breed. So how is it done? First of all, you need to find a breed that fits. And the breed has to be assessed. Is it a healthy breed? Or could it bring other diseases into the breed that you want to preserve? This is a very important question. And will it fit the breed? Find dog with excellent health. This takes years, and it's certainly absolutely not a quick fix. The Norwegian Dunker. In 1992, the cooperation started. The breed club needed to do something. They needed to do something to preserve this dog that they really love hunting with. The club decided to cross with 3 different breeds. The Swedish Hamiltonstøver, the Norwegian 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐚, and the Finnish Hound. Why these breeds? Because you can see they are actually quite similar in type. It's very little that divides them. And they also hunt in the same way, with slightly different things. But just to explain to Julie, this is a Finnish Hound, this is a Hamilton Hound. No, this is a Hamilton Hound, this is a Finnish Hound. The club really works really hard. Beside this crossbreeding project, they try every year to froze semen from 10 different males. They choose, the breeding council choose 10 different males each year, and they freeze semen, And they have done that for many years. So I think they now have started to use semen from the 80s. They have started to defrost it and use it now. It's different types because this project is a little difficult because you cross, first you contact the breeding council, you say, okay, I want to do the crossbreeding project. They help you find a dog, you cross. All the puppies have a pedigree, which marks that they are crossed, and the mother is a Finnish hound, the father is a Dunkerhound. But they are not in a side register. They go straight back into the breed. And they are allowed to show, they are allowed to hunting test. So actually we don't have any real records of the results of this dog. We have the results of the dog, but we can't actually say what they are contributing with in the breed, except from increasing in numbers. So when you judge them, you can come at the show and you can see a lot of very different types like you see here. This is because the Dunker is going to be quite a rectangular dog, low to the ground, hard muscle, and here you see a dog that doesn't look like that. But it's going to have a grade like sufficient because it needs to enter a hunting test because you want it to go back into the breed. The Norwegian Lundehund project is done in a very different way. It started in the 90s, and it's a very strict cooperation with the breed club, breeders, and the kennel club. I'm very happy to say that now in 2022, the General Assembly of the club had a case where they wanted to open the stud books and take the project dogs back into the breed. And luckily there were 94% majority to open the stud book and take the project dog back into the breed. They have used 3 different breeds to cross into the breed, and it took a very long time to find this breed, but they have seen in type, phenotype, tried to find fitting which dogs to use. So it's the Norwegian Buhund, the Swedish Spitz, and the Icelandic Sheepdog that has been used as crossbreeding dogs for this breed. Here the puppies are registered in a side register. You have the Lundehund, a pure Lundehund that has a normal pedigree, but all the project dogs are in a side register. And it's very carefully selected from the club who gets to buy a dog, because they're sold, and when they're sold, it's a very strict contract, because the puppy buyers must know that if this is a healthy dog and it passed all health checks, this is a project dog. It will be used for further breeding in the project, and you cannot mate it with whatever you want. It's the club who decides. If the one parent is a Lundehund and one parent is, examples, a Buhund, this dog's name will be B1 Annie, B1 Adam, because it's a B1, it's a first generation. If you use the first generation and the first generation, it will be a B plus a B, and all the offsprings will have a B2 name, because then you know that there is Buhund in there, and you know it's across and across that's been used. So this is very, very strictly monitored by the kennel club, the veterinarians in the kennel club, the breed club, and the breeders. It's a very strict cooperation. Why should we preserve them? Why shouldn't we just let them die? It's a very old breed with a purpose. It was made for a purpose. It's a part of our Norwegian culture, and we want to preserve it. It's important for us to have this species. And we are actually obligated to preserve what is our culture and heritage. It's like, it was very interesting. to see all the skills that the Lundehund have, because I think you can't find that in any other breed, with the extra toes and everything. Positive and negative effects with these projects. Better genetic diversity, that's positive. Improved fertility, positive. More dogs, that's also positive. But in the Norwegian Centown, we gained epilepsy. We never had that in the breed. We gain hypotherias, and we gain some bad temperaments. And we know which dog it comes from, because the Finnish hound has a little different temperament than the Norwegian hound, and combining those was not a good match. At the Lundehund, they never had this problem in the breed. Now they have a stomach illness that we call, is also known as the Lundehund syndrome. That was never in the breed before. So you gain something, but you also lose something. And that's really important to know, because this must be done very, very carefully. It's not a quick fix. There should be actually one more slide, but I think it has fallen out. Now everything this way. Yeah, that was actually just a summary, but I think my message is, of course, if needed, we have the scientists, we have the skills, we have everything to crossbreed if we need to do it. But we shouldn't do it so quickly. If there is another way in selective breeding, like I personally believe it is in boas, I believe I've seen so much research in that area that I don't need to be a veterinarian to see that. I hopefully think that we can selectively breed us out of the problem, but if not, of course, we can cross. But banning breeds and just crossing randomly will just increase problems. It won't solve them. So, that was.
Thank you very much, Wenche. We'll just open it now to some questions.
It's not really a question, but I just would like to emphasize this very successful program I've already heard about. It was very different because it happened in the country of origin than try to cross French Bulldog in Sweden or in Holland, because that was the country of origin.
Yeah, and I think I had that in the slide as well, that the country of origin should be the country that decides when to do it or if to do it.
Do you know if the epilepsy and the hypothyroidism come with the other breed that you mix, or it is a product of mixing different breeds?
I think because what I tried to show that the differences between these two projects was that one is strictly monitorized and the project dogs are kept for themselves. The other one is not so strictly monitorized and dogs go straight back into the breeds. So we can actually not say it for sure. We can only assume, because they didn't have that problem before they started to cross, but it has occurred after they started to cross. So we cannot say it for sure because it's not been strictly monitorized. We can only assume that that is one of the reasons why.
Taking into consideration that this need to be done in the country of origin, has also the scientific commission or the standard commission that this can affect the breed has any saying on how the projects of this mixing with other breeds need to be done?
I can actually not answer that totally, but I know that the scientific committee in the FCI has been involved in the Lundehund project and is not against it, yes. But I don't think they have given any clear guidance of how it should be done. They just know it's been done and it's not against it, because the country of origin has asked the FCI if it's okay, and it's okay. So it's not done without the permission of the FCI, no.
I want to ask one thing. What is the age of dogs already crossed? What is the age of the youngest dog and of the older dog from the ones already resulting from the crossbreed?
So we can assume since the crossing started in 1980 for one of the breeds, and now we're in 2022, so the oldest one is actually not alive anymore. But you have them in all ages, or did you wonder how long they lived? Ah, yeah, the age of the dogs. I don't know if it's done a study of how long each dog has lived, but I'm sure that can be easily taken as statistic out on the Lundehunds. On the Centhounds, since this is not monorized the same way, it will be very difficult to collect that data, but on the puffing dog, I can collect that data for you.
When you speak of B1 or the B plus B, what do you do with the B1 in regards to breeding up from that? Do you breed that with a purebred of that particular breed when you were referring to the Lundehund?
If I understand you correctly now, you ask if we breed the B1s to a Lundehund?
Yeah, to the actual breed itself.
No, we haven't been done that, because if you could see, as I said, now in 2022, 20 years later, we had a general assembly in the Lundehund Club, and they decided to open the stud book and take the project dog backs. So from this year, the project dog will be bred back into the breed. So the project dog has been bred only to project dogs. So it's B1, and if their bred is B1 plus B1, that's B2, and it's B2 has been used further. So it's the project dog are in their own register. So now it's the first time in 2022 that we're going to breed them back into the breed.
Okay, so they're in a completely separate register.
Yes.
To the actual purebred dog.
Very strict, yes.
I have a question about planning for the future. Has gene banking been considered to collect before we get to this point? Can you hear me? Gene banking, are there any plans for genetic storage before breeds get to the point where they have to make the decisions that you're discussing?
If you mean that there has been collecting genes of these two breeds?
No, as a general...
Or do we plan it?
Is it a conversation on the table for gene banking to commence before breeds get to this difficult situation?
At the moment, I'm not involved in such a discussion now.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Wenche. I've read about the crossbreeding of the Shih Tzu to the Pekingese a while back, but there were not enough details that I could find. Do you know anything about that?
If I know of the crossbred project, Pekingese and Shih Tzu?
Yes.
No, unfortunately, I'm not. I have all the details, and if anyone wants the crossbreed project study in English, they can send me an email, and I will give you a PDF file, because the Lundehund Club has this project on a PDF file in English version. But I have no information about the Shih Tzu Pekingese project. I'm sorry.
The only thing that I know, I've read about, is that they crossed the Shih Tzu to the Pekingese because they wanted to infuse more vigor into the Shih Tzu. And so that was sort of showing that the Pekingese is more vigorous, has more vigor than the Shih Tzu. Because the Shih Tzu then were very few in number. And that's why they decided to do that. I think, I don't know if somebody from the Kennel Club can say anything about that. Thank you.
I don't know that, but as I said, both these projects are done with the same goals. It's done with the same goals. It's to preserve the breed, it's to preserve the skills of the breed, but it's done in two different ways. And I will strongly recommend the Lundehund way, because that way you can keep track of everything, of the dogs born, the dogs bred, when they died, how many, B1, B2, B3, B4. So this both are good projects, but I would strongly recommend the Lundehund project as the most successful one.
Can I just make one final comment? I think the interesting thing about the Lundehund project was that it was preservation from going extinct. So that was the main reason why the project was done, not for introducing vigor or whatever. It was specifically because the breed was going to be extinct. So it was to save this breed rather than to try to add something to it. But and as Tomas mentioned, it has to be the country of origin doing it, where under consultation with FCI, the breed clubs, and all this. So it was for preservation of the breed, rather than to try to introduce other things to it.
That's my strongly recommendation, yeah, because both these projects has been done in cooperation with the FCI.
Thank you very much, Wenche.
I want to thank the FCI board members for giving Mexico the opportunity of having this important World Congress for Welfare and Health for the dogs worldwide. We are really pleased, and thank you so much for giving us this great opportunity. And also I want to thank all the speakers from all over the world who participate in this great event. Thank you.